Hey everyone, I'm Phil, the author of the Vehicle Framework. It is now live on the workshop, so I'm here to give you a quick rundown of all the major features. I've seen a ton of vehicle art this past year just floating around the RimWorld Discord server, so I'm really excited to see what the community creates. Now, first and foremost, this framework does not add any vehicles. I want the framework to enable vehicle mods, not add a bunch of content. Now, that being said, there is an option in the mod settings to disable individual vehicles from showing up in your game, so don't worry too much if a mod has vehicles that you don't like. I'll try not to go into too much detail because this framework is very big, but I'm going to cover all the major features. There are some features not covered in this video, so if you're making your own vehicles, be sure to join the Discord server. The mod settings page for Vehicle Framework pulls all vehicle defs from your mod list and generates entries for them in the mod settings. This means you can edit any vehicle at runtime and rebalance it however you see fit. This doesn't require patching from other vehicle mods. It is done automatically from my end. Now, modders creating their own theme comps can also insert their own fields into the mod settings with very little effort using a C# attribute that I made. Modders are able to edit costs for things, terrain, and snow on a per vehicle basis. This is what allows the framework to support sea, air, and land vehicles. And yes, it does allow for amphibious vehicles. I know many of you are probably wondering that. It is completely customizable. It doesn't matter what kind of costs that vanilla has. This is entirely separate from that. And vehicles don't have to align with each other. They can have their completely own set of cell costs, which is how you can make boats. This is also true for world pathing. Vehicles can be configured for costs related to biomes, rivers, mountains, and roads. There's also a multiplier for going off-road and a multiplier for winter travel. Just about every possible thing that can affect pathing is configurable per vehicle in the framework. Now, if you haven't seen it already, then you probably have pretty low expectations. I posted a video a while back showing an early iteration of the color picker for vehicles. Normally, masks in RimWorld are created for each individual thing def, and this is technically true for vehicles as well since you still need a mask texture. However, patterns and skins are a different story entirely. Rather than requiring artists to make the same patterns over and over again multiple times to cover every single vehicle, I created a shader that applies the pattern to the mask. This means that one pattern is applicable to all vehicles. And the skins are the same thing, except that instead of using RGB colors, they just apply the sprite directly to the mask. A good example of this would be if you wanted to render Jim Carrey's face on top of your car. Now, the color system is quite expansive. It allows patterns and skins to be zoomed in and out, tiled, or dragged along the XY axis. You can set it up however you want. Turrets. Vehicles can have turrets. These are not the same as vanilla turrets, and they're not even in the same realm as vanilla weapons because they're not equipment. These vehicle turrets have hardpoints and can be attached to any point on the vehicle. They can also be attached to other vehicle turrets, such that when the parent turret rotates, so do its children. A good example of this would be mounted weapons on top of a tank gun. Turrets can also be given limits of fire, so it prohibits the turret from firing at angles beyond those limits. And lastly, you don't actually have to make the turrets rotate. You can make them static, in which case they're stuck facing whatever default angle they've been given, such as a system that deploys smoke canisters for concealment. Animations. Now, this has got to be one of my favorite systems that I made for the framework. It is a general use animation system, which so far is only used by aerial vehicles, but this may very well change in the future. It can be used on just about anything with proper setup. Now, in-game, there is an animation editor, and this is basically a graph editor with a preview window in the bottom left that allows you to jump to any point in the animation, pause, restart, speed up, etc. And this speeds up the development process for animations tremendously. For reference, I made all the VE vehicles animations, and the Mosquito, which is a pretty good one, I might say, it took me about 2 hours, give or take, and most of that time was spent on trying to make the transition seamless and just attention to detail. And the VE vehicles animations are also quite simple, so those are barely even scratching the surface. This is one of my favorite features, and I'm really excited to see how it gets used. You can kiss goodbye to shuttles flying off at 45-degree angles or blurry rotor sprites for helicopters. So, what is coming in the future? Because that covers all the major features. The first thing on my to-do list is raiders. That is probably the top question I get asked, and no, raiders don't use vehicles just yet. It's not a trivial task. There's a lot of things that I need to consider and fix, such as AI behavior, pathfinding, because they use their full hitbox for pathfinding, target acquisition, etc. I still have to fix Raider AI regarding, targeting vehicles or prioritizing them. So I've got a lot of work to do regarding the AI. After that, I'm going to be releasing the upgrade system. It's already finished, but it needs testing, it needs polish. I need to fix up the UI. So that will be coming after the Raiders. And then after that, that's when I'll start working on air defenses, bomb runs, paratroopers, strafing, all that good stuff. So that's going to be coming after the upgrade system. Everything after that is pending, so I won't get into that. Please understand, I'm just one guy. I'm literally the only person working on this. It's my passion project for, the last 3 years or so. So there's no fancy team behind this project. It's just me. So the best way that you can help me speed up development for this mod is to report bugs. I really need bug reports. I can't spend all my time testing. And if you want to report bugs, please do so in my Discord server. Post the logs, post steps to reproduce, a video or a screenshot. It goes a long way and it helps speed up the process. So yeah, those are all the major features included in the framework. If you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.